Welcome to the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast.
Good evening, everyone. This is Jarvis Escott with What's Happening Birmingham. Today, I have the honor and pleasure of being with Ms. Danielle Ridgeway. She is owner and chief accountant of Covering Your Assets.
Yes.
So, Danielle, thank you for taking time out this evening to come.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Tax season is here, everybody. I know it's time to get that refund. So, I want to bring my good friend here, 12 plus years, to talk about the new tax changes and some things you all really need to look out for. So, first question, how did you come up with that neat business name?
You know, it just fits. CYA. We typically have this business lingo in the corporate world where, you know, you want a CYA. We all know what that means. And as it relates to accounting business, we want to make sure you're covered. We want to make sure you have the proper tools and resources you need to make as a taxpayer and citizen with regard to your individual tax needs and accounting needs as well as your business.
Okay. So next question I want to ask you is, can you guarantee me $5,000 for a tax return? You know, we see them advertising like $3,800 per child, $5,000, things like that.
Well, I enjoy my freedom.
Okay.
Yeah, I like stripes on the suit,
okay,
but not those other stripes. But
okay.
I would be leery of someone that could guarantee you a certain amount of money, especially if your individual circumstances do not warrant that type of refund. And so we want to just, it's individual based, and we can have a consultation to, see where you are in that refund process.
So what do I need to bring if I come to your office?
Prior year tax returns are always helpful, just for consistency purpose and just to get an understanding of what you incurred last year. But your W-2, you'll need original source documentation is always best, and we want to verify that, especially if, for example, you've had a dependent and they're receiving child care services. We don't want to have something on letterhead from them dictating the amount that you incurred for the year. Any personal information such as your social security number and dependent information, expenses that you've incurred, bank statements are helpful, copies of checks or anything from a third party is always best documentation.
Okay, so the next question I'd like to ask is, what are some red flags to look for? Because I know this season you're going to see a lot of pop-up tax preparation businesses. Operating out somebody's kitchen, operating out somebody's barbershop, daycare. They don't care what it is. They just want to set up shop. So what some red flags we need to look for to decipher who's legitimate and who's just, doing things on the other end?
If I were in search of someone to prepare my tax return, I would, look first towards their education. Your average taxpayer needs to be properly educated on the new tax laws. The IRS also has mandated standards for paid tax preparers. You have to have a certain number of hours of continuing education to be abreast on these laws and how to determine filing status, how to determine what you can claim, any deductions and things of that nature. So education is the key to just look for that professional tax preparer. You want to have customer service. You want to make sure that they are tuning in to your needs and properly planning for your taxes.
All right, so what's the difference between a tax preparer and an accountant?
Typically, an accountant has a professional education for their business. They've attended an institution majoring in accounting or business or finance, and has gone through the requirements necessary to obtain a degree. Tax preparers typically have gone through a course or IRS course, and they pass the test to properly deem them as a tax preparer. So having a little bit of both is what the key, and will help make you successful as a citizen.
All right, so what if you well, let me kind of go back for a second. For my single folks. So, I know what you probably watch this video and be like, well, I don't have any kids. I don't have a house. What are some tax breaks for me?
Well, there are things that you can look at, such as your medical savings plan through your employer. That's a way to create tax savings, and the maximum amount that you can deduct is $5,000 through, your employer. But it provides a safe savings because it lowers your tax bracket most oftentimes. Puts you in a lower bracket, and you're able to use those medical expenses that the IRS has deemed acceptable throughout the course of the year. And even if you don't use those up, you have until 2.5 months of the next year to deduct those.
All right, so now moving on to the married people. Is there any new deductions or anything on the horizon, or just pretty much the same?
Typically the same for married filing jointly. I know a lot of questions. Sometimes I'm asked the questions of, if I'm married, should I file separately? And there are advantages and some disadvantages. It probably is most advantageous to file jointly, but if you have a higher tax liability, than possibly your spouse, or have questions about, there's child support or other things that you may not want to get the other spouse involved, there's a way to, file married filing separately as well. So you want to look at your situation and kind of have that tax planning in advance of you determining that filing status.
Okay, so next question is for our freelancers out here. Maybe I'm going to put them in category beauticians, barbers. Barbers have cash business, things like that. So what are some things that we need to do tax-wise?
The key for business owners, most times there's no one else taking your taxes out for you, as opposed to someone who is working for an employer. So the key is tax planning and estimated taxes. Estimated taxes are due quarterly, and you can plan and kind of gauge your business. And sometimes there's often peaks in certain businesses, different times of the year where income is typically higher than it is other times of the year. You may want to pay more into those estimated taxes. So it's all about planning. Planning is key.
So, moving on to the next question, is there any benefits to filing early? Because I see a lot of times people want to file before the deadline. And what happens if I file after the deadline, pretty much?
Filing early is always recommended. You get your tax return, your tax refund if you're due earlier. And also, one thing people don't think about is your tax return is used for a lot of purposes. It's used to purchase a house. People can also use it to file, obtain financial aid if you're in school, or you're, using your parents' income. You can use that tax return. So having that information readily available is always helpful. Now, if you are expecting to owe and you file in January, you can go ahead and file your return, and then you have until April 15th to pay. And so that gives you a few months to kind of pay. But many times people say, okay, well, can I file an extension? Yes, you can file an extension, but you do not have extended time to pay. So even if you owe, that payment is due April 15th.
So you still need to file regardless.
You still need to file. You can file October 15th. That's the extension that you're granted, the 6-month extension, but it does not give you an extension to pay. Your return can be filed later, but not the payment. So oftentimes people, are kind of confused about that. And so always filing early is the best way to go.
So let's talk about the dark side of taxes.
Okay.
If I get a little letter saying I've been audited, what do I do?
You will need to contact the person that filed your return, and get them engaged in the process. Working with the IRS directly is always the best way to go in terms of getting audited. There are a lot of companies that say, we'll work with you and help you get through the audit. it's always best to deal with them directly, and they will always contact you via mail. You won't receive any phone calls.
Okay, I like that you emphasize that more. Okay.
Or anything like that, or emails or anything like that. It will always be the communication will be via mail, and so typically those to get audited, it's not to be afraid. They're just wanting to see a little bit more information from your return. But providing, having that documentation of front hand so you and the tax preparer can get comfortable, with things that you are deducting, kind of eliminates the, audit. And even if you have the information there to support you.
So the next question I would like to ask you is, and I think this is something you probably face or encounter a lot, and people like to do, is dependents. Can we just kind of talk about that and how people be trying to whistle away and say, I claim in this person and that person, and how that can get them kind of get,
Well, another reason to file early is, if you file and you have a dependent, that dependent's taken up, basically. But, you want to have supporting documentation for that there, security, social security number, and, valid reason. There are support tests that the IRS look for, when you're claiming dependents. Did the child or the person live with you? Did they live with you the whole year or half the year? Do you provide full support for the child or the person that you're claiming? Or is it a multi-support agreement? Are they a citizen? Are they in school? How old are they? Did they earn income? So there are a lot of questions that will filter out, am I able to claim this person as a dependent? And prior to this year, with the new tax act, we used to have what we call personal exemptions. And that's where you just got an exemption personally for you and your spouse. And that has been disqualified for going forward for the new tax year. And so now that's been replaced with just dependents or credit. So there are a lot of new changes. You just want to make sure that whoever is performing your tax return is just abreast of the new laws, and will provide you that service.
So say I get my taxes prepared and it comes back I owe $10,000, but I don't have $10,000 a day. Can I do a payment plan with the IRS?
The IRS will work with payment plans, and that's why I advocate for working with them directly and getting your tax preparer, or accountant engaged in the process, and don't wait. As soon as you're notified of something, either an audit or even if you feel like you've left something out of the return that would be, material aspect, contact them and don't wait. Time is really not on your side with regards to the IRS. It's not on your side. It's on their side, because they can take as much time as they.
And eventually they will get your money. You can run, you can hide. You can't hide from them. They're gonna get their money.
Right, they will, and no one's exempt. That's the thing. A lot of people, especially you find this in the entertainment business. I don't know if you've seen that, but some citizens just think they're exempt. You're not exempt. The IRS wants its share. Is it fair? That may be a question for debate, but it's what they deem is their share. And so it's just about being educated and knowledgeable about what that share is, and that's regard to the tax bracket that you fall in. And as a result of the tax bracket you fall in, there's tax liability that you owe, and your decisions basically every day will affect whether that tax liability increases or decreases. Obviously, the more deductions you have, it will decrease. And so we just want to make sure that you're knowledgeable of all this.
So let's go back to you. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself, how long you've been doing this, yada, yada, yada.
From Birmingham area, I've been here since undergrad school at Birmingham Southern, majored in accounting, and have since worked since undergrad years. I have over 10 years of experience in the field of accounting, tax preparation in businesses. I've worked with public accounting, private sectors, doing internal audit, tax preparation, software integration, and recently in the healthcare industry. And so I've had a variety of accounting experience, and I love what I do. This is fun to me. Most people cringe when they hear taxes, and I want to alleviate that. I want to make it a part of a conversation and what we can do to not have that fear, because it's inevitable. I mean, as long as you're earning money, you're just not going to get away from it.
You gotta pay them taxes,
so
privilege taxes, state taxes, you just gotta pay them.
Right.
Because what happens is that interest start piling up, and that'd be even more of a big. Even with the IRS, I've learned that the interest will pile up, even though you do extension, the interest still add on. So just can't play around with it.
You
put your
can't
hand
get
in the
away.
sand. You gotta lift your head out the sand and just deal with the problem.
But we can help you. We can help you do that, and not make it a taxing conversation, because it's here and it's not going anywhere.
So if they would like to get in contact with you, contact information.
Yes, you can contact me at 205-440-2829. I believe that's 440-28-TAX. If you want to jot that down, or easy to remember. I also have a website. It's www.coveringyourassets.net. And I'm also available via email at Danielle@coveringyourassets.net.
All right. So, Danielle, thank you for taking time out your day this evening to talk about this very important topic. You are also, please check out more of these videos on my website, what'shappenedbirmingham.com, or on my YouTube channel today. So thank you all again, and have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the What's Happening Birmingham video podcast. Please check out our website, app, or subscribe to our YouTube channel for the latest videos today.